Balls aren't just man's greatest weak point, they're also incredibly mysterious shapes when found in the middle of nowhere. It's incredibly difficult to sculpt a perfect sphere, which is why discovering them in unusual places continues to convince some people that aliens are to blame. But there's more to it than a couple of green Martians obsessed with carving balls. Let's get rolling.
Amazing!
Number 10. Metal balls found in the deep sea. A German research ship was just a few hundred miles from Barbados in 2015 when they came across a large number of metal lumps from the deep sea. After they placed a mesh down to capture creatures to study, their net inevitably caught some of the large balls. Since there were so many scattered along the sea floor, speculation began amongst crew members, and thankfully, answers were found. These metal balls were quickly chalked up to being of manganese ore, which were a little larger than your average softball, but they could grow as large as a bowling ball. Manganese balls aren't some weird phenomenon that never happen, and in fact, every ocean has them. Sometimes they look like pancakes though, which can be a bit weird. Manganese orbs are typically slow growing and fill out less than a centimeter every million years. While there are a ton of them scattered around the seabed, they're nothing to bat an eyelash at. While scientists know what they are, their origin is actually still quite a mystery. Some speculate they arise through chemical reactions from microbes in the seawater, while others aren't so sure. Guess we'll all have to agree that they're from aliens. Number 9. TUCSON purple balls. Wow, a mystery in the United States that doesn't involve the ocean or Area 51? Trust me, I'm thinking the same thing. These glass-like purple balls were found in a Tucson, Arizona desert just 4 years ago. The group of balls were found when a woman and her husband were on a nature walk through the area. The woman claimed they glistened in the sun, and they were virtually impossible to miss. So how did everyone pass up this small patch of purple, and how come no one can find out what they are? Reports and scientists couldn't come to a conclusion, but it was reported that they were a gooey-like consistency, quite transparent, and glowed. A local botanist suggested that they could be a recurring jelly fungus because of the plants that surround the area. Another mentioned that there are hydration balls for plants that are man-made, but no one could confirm if these were of that origin. What do you think they are? Number 8. 5,000-year-old stone spheres. The next spheres I have in store may be more of what you're looking for. They're stone spheres of different sizes and different depths of carving. Some say that this group of balls demonstrates knowledge of the 5 different Platonic solids, a long time before Plato even mentioned them. In fact, these were dated back more than a millennium before Plato mentioned the Platonic solids. Noted as one of the great archaeological enigmas of the century, the ball-like objects were found in Ireland, Britain, and Scotland, dating back to the Iron Age. Their knobs are all of different sizes, and by 2015, more than 430 were recorded. Some of them have Pictish symbols and are leaving researchers baffled. So many spheres have been found that archaeologists expect to find many more. The stones are categorized into 3 sections, including spirals, straight incised lines, and concentric circles. While their meanings are still being worked out, Link could have something to do with them by the looks of it. Number 7. The KLERKSDORP spheres. 2.8 billion years is a long time. The fact that we've been able to find items from this long ago with etchings still engraved on them is even crazier. Originally found in South Africa around 1984, the spheres are fibrous on the insides, while being extremely tough on the outside. They're so tough, steel won't even scratch them. There are some specialists that have studied the spheres and noted that they're naturally formed due to a process called concretion. The grooves are also believed to be natural in origin and represent fine-grained lamentations within, which the concretions grew. They're mineral matter that becomes hardened over time. Because these out-of-place artifacts are so unusual, lots of people believe they could only have been manufactured by intelligent beings. Furthermore, an anonymous and unverified letter after the discovery was made public stated that the spheres were tested in a space institute in California and concluded that they were near perfect. However, since the letter was unverified and the original researcher could see that they were not as perfect as the letter stated, the idea of aliens is really far-fetched. I personally think they look like groovy alien croquet balls, but hey, I'm not the expert here. Number 6. Costa Rican stone balls. Many years ago, when black and white was the primary color scheme in photos, a husband and wife were out on a scientific trip in the Costa Rican jungles when they stumbled across these perfectly shaped spheres. Sometimes they were only a few inches big, while others could be as large as 8 feet wide. After speaking with someone who was well known on a banana plantation, they learned that they held meaning in prehistoric times. The spheres were set in place for cosmic, religious, and ritualistic reasons, as well as astronomical. Their positioning hadn't been changed since their creation, and it's been speculated that they were carved from lava. While it's not a definitive answer, as this person was no modern-day trained researcher, it's the closest thing we have right now to an answer. Number 5. BETZ Mystery Sphere. For this next mystery sphere, the two extremes of what it could be include doomsday device or aliens. Depending on who you are, neither one may sound pleasing. A family with the last name of BETZ came across this mystery sphere in 1974, and it was apparently metallic, seamless, and self-propelled. They stumbled upon this orb after looking through the damage a bushfire had caused to a very large area of woodland that they had just purchased at Fort George Island in Jacksonville, Florida. Finding the orb wasn't the only mystery thing the trio had gone through. In fact, one of the BETZ sons strummed his guitar and noticed that the perfectly seamless ball started to hum and vibrate, much like a tuning fork. While it was inaudible to the naked ear, their dog was deeply upset by the sound. After having the sphere in their home for quite some time, they noted that the weather changed how active the ball's frequencies were. They then thought up a slew of experiments to trigger these sounds coming from this sphere, as well as finding that it could spin itself upwards when slanted certain ways. The family even put it in a box so it couldn't escape at night because it could self-propel. That's when they hit the local news stations to get the word out. They wanted answers. UFO specialists, Marines, and the government wanted to know what this sphere was, and this family didn't want to give it up, for they believed it could have been seized. Their home actually began to become haunted, and organ sounds would swallow their home day in and day out. While the Navy concluded it wasn't explosive, the origin and the reasoning behind the existence of this ball is still a mystery to this day. Number 4. Russian Champ Island Stone Spheres. Found in the deep and chilling Arctic of Russia's Champ Island by a group of researchers, these large stones were so perfectly round and hidden away under now melted glaciers. Unfortunately, the origin of these stones isn't as apparent or readily available, and every geologist has their own theory upon visiting. They're still in the water and have an organic core, while appearing like a super smooth boulder. One geologist states that they are merely the product of accumulation of sedimentary material. Not the best origin, but the most likely, although I wish it was much cooler. Number 3. Massive Bosnia Sphere. An archaeologist by the name of Samir Osmanagic, who is also known as the Bosnian Indiana Jones, found this stone ball in the Visoko Valley and believes that it has no ties to any specific civilization that once lived. The stone ball, which measures 9 feet across, is definitely not of extraterrestrial origin either, but was born because of the concretion process we learned about a few balls ago. While not the most interesting story, it would be a pretty cool thing to stumble upon in a forest. Number 2. Ancient Temple Orbs. This next group of balls sounds like they're straight out of a video game. Deep beneath a pyramid in the wonderful Mexico City, a mass of ancient temple orbs were found by archaeologists. George Zavala stated that the orbs lie deep under the pre-Hispanic city and township of Teotihuacan, a civilization that was once the biggest in the world at only 100,000 residents. Unfortunately, they all abandoned it in 700 AD with no reasons left behind. It's believed that the balls were once used for religious reasons, as the city's name translates directly to the place where men become gods. In fact, the civilization worshipped not 1, not 2, but 8 gods. The material of the orbs are noted as fool's gold, with the coloring coming from jarosite. Even though we still don't know what their formal meaning is, the translated name of the town alone could make a pretty good movie. Number 1. Andean Sky Balls. Are you tired of balls yet? No? Good. I have quite a few more to show you that have quite the mysterious meaning. Earlier this year, there were reports from Russia, Peru, and Britain of these balls falling from the sky. Meteors, you say? Nope. They were perfectly shaped metal balls that could easily kill someone if they were hit by them. Social media caught wind of the sightings, and many places banded together to share their own footage to help find the actual balls that came from the sky. Officials have chalked them up to being meteorites, but with how perfectly shaped they are, and their material, I'm sure they're just trying not to cause panic, because they're more likely to be large bullets that aliens are catapulting at us. I'm joking. But seriously, the age-old excuse that space debris flying into the atmosphere and catching on fire is what caused their perfectly unique shape doesn't seem to cut it for me. Similar balls have been spotted around the world in Australia, the United States, and even in a Spanish village, causing quite the chaos. They all look similar, but they sure don't look like the normal space debris you see coming down. They're too perfect. I seem to agree with other more verified reports that claim these sort of spheres are space junk or parts from satellites that crashed or broke off. For example, this one found in the Namibian desert was identified as a hydrazine tank from an unmanned rocket, commonly used in satellite launches. Do you think you can explain any of these spheres better than I did? Or have you stumbled upon any before yourself? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching.